everybody, Dan Illman and Mike Beer. The DRF race of the day for Friday, March the 22nd. Race number 7 at Santa Anita. We're going a mile on the turf. First level allowance, $20,000 claiming auction for California breds. Let's take a look at this field. We have a scratch. The 5 Bronco Nagurski is out. The 10 Red Cross Knight gets into the race. And that's kind of a big scratch, Mike.
Yeah, it kind of is. I think it's kind of a big stretch, mostly because the 10 gets in now, Dan. I think that horse is a contender in here. I just thought more than anything else, this is a wide open race, man. I don't really know who you're supposed to trust in here.
The number 2, Dick Best, has some early speed, and he'll be our pace setter according to our Timeform US pace projector. Although the 10 Red Cross Knight is far from a slow horse, and breaking from this outside post, you have to think they're going to get aggressive. The number 1, Rodrigo Knows, Mike, might be the key to this pace because he's pretty quick and drawn inside. Maybe this time they try to get forward once again.
Yeah, I think they're probably going to have to do that. I mean, it's not like he had a bad trip last time. He was right up close, but Dick Best, who's also in here, made the lead last time, and then they couldn't get by him in the stretch.
There's a chance this pace heats up, and then you keep an eye on the 4, Muji Sun, who was the beaten favorite last time out, and we're finishing behind Dick Best. He is a true one-run closer. He has the fastest Timeform US late pace rating. We'll start things off with the 1, Rodrigo Knows, prompted the pace last time out against Dick Best, just couldn't forge past when it counted. He seems to be slowly improving with each and every start. I just wonder if Dick Best just proved he was a better horse last time.
Yeah, I mean, it's a tough call, right? Because this horse was right up there. It seemed like he had every chance. Now, Dick Best was sort of wandering around the track there. He was sort of bothering a bunch of horses, it seemed like. And maybe that's why Rodrigo Knows didn't get by him, Dan. I don't know. I mean, it's a fair enough way to look at it if you want to do that. Personally, I just don't like his other turf races enough to want to give him another chance in here, but I think he can win.
So Rodrigo Knows from 4 starts on the turf, he's never hit the board, but he only finished less than a length behind the winner last time out, and that was Dick Best, who was disqualified and placed second for the wandering incident that Mike mentioned. Let's take a look at that race right now. Dick Best showed some good early speed, made the lead, came off the rail, turning for home. He's going to face a strong challenge from this horse on the inside, and the jock's going to try to tighten him up, and it didn't work out because he gets taken down. Dick Best was game finishing ahead of 3 of these horses, and the horse that he tightens up ended up winning again on dirt with an 86 buyer.
Yeah, I mean, he looks beaten in this race here in the last furlong, Dan. He's going to dig in and he's going to get the job done here. You can see it better with the head-on and the overhead replay. He's sort of just shifting about there, and he did bother, I thought, 2 horses. I don't know. He still ran fine in there, but I also felt like he had it pretty easy. Do you agree with that? In the early part of that race, he had a pretty easy lead there. They weren't really pushing it.
I thought the first quarter he had to work a little bit, but then he backed it down, and it looked like he was very, very comfortable cruising onto the second turn and into the stretch. So I thought he had to go quick early, but he got a breather. All in all, a pretty good trip. Tom and Jazzy, the number 3, ran third in the race we just showed you. He tried to come from way out of it. He broke from post position 10. He really couldn't get the forward position that he is capable of getting that we saw 2 and 3 starts back. The fact that he was running on in the end, Mike, I think it's a very good sign because he's going to get a lot closer to the pace here.
I agree with all that stuff. And listen, he had a tough post last time, and Kent, being Kent DeSormo, did just about everything right. He gave this horse a really good trip. He got to save a lot of ground. He got him into the clear through the stretch, and this horse did run and made up a lot of ground. And I'm with you, Dan. I think drawn towards the inside now, there could be an even better trip coming for this horse. He's very dangerous in here.
Now, Muji Sun, the number 4 we mentioned, was the beaten favorite. We mentioned might be the best pure closer in this race. He rallied for 5th in the Dick Best race last time out. The problem with this horse is, can we really trust him? He's now finished second 10 times in 27 lifetime starts. He has virtually no early speed, which means he's at the complete mercy of pace and trip luck, and we've seen him lose at short prices in the past.
Yeah, I agree with all that stuff, and it's why it's hard to take him at any kind of a short price, and he probably will be one of the shorter prices in here, Dan. Now, deservedly so. I mean, he shows up and he runs every single time, and I thought he ran fine in that most recent start, that Dick Best race last time, without any real chance to win. He ran pretty well in there. He ran well 2 starts back as well from an outside post, but he never wins. And so he's hard to take a short price on.
The 5 Bronco Nagurski won't leave the huddle. He is scratched. The 6 Enjoy It Straight is a horse that's very admirable. He's won 8 of 17. He handles dirt. He handles synthetic. He handles turf. Here's his most recent start. It's off of a significant layoff, sprinting on the dirt, going 3/4 of a mile. And this guy just likes to win races, Mike. The connections had to be pleased with this race. First off, the long layoff. This mile distance isn't a problem. Turf isn't a problem. And he's tactical enough to work out a trip.
Yeah, those things are all true. I mean, listen, I'm not going to sit here and pretend I'm thrilled that he's the morning line favorite and that I'm dying to bet him. But he can win this race. I think this was maybe a pretty smart claim by these connections because he is versatile, like you say. And his first two starts on this circuit, they're on a different surface, but they're both good, Dan, and they both had solid figures as well. He was a little cheap for my liking up in Northern California, but I guess he fits here.
Another horse moving dirt to turf is the number 7, Worse Reed Sanchez. And Worse Reed Sanchez might be up against it from a class standpoint. We've talked about 8-time winners, multiple winners. This horse is only 1 for 26 in his career, 1 for 22 on the turf. He really has to do a lot more from a speed figure standpoint. He's been running in open claimers recently, but he's been stuck at this first level condition for a very long time on turf.
Yeah, he has. I mean, he's been pretty consistent in those races too. So it's not like, he sort of went off form and now maybe you want to give him a second look because he's back, running in good form again. In fact, the opposite of that might be true. I don't know, Dan. I know he's going to show up and run his race. I just didn't really think it was going to be good enough.
The number 8, Hoppy Hoppy, reeled off 5 consecutive victories towards the end of 2022 and early 2023, all at a mile. Those races were a turf paradise, however, against weaker horses. Interesting to pick apart his form in Southern California this year on the turf. I thought his turf sprint off the long layoff was pretty good. Didn't have the cleanest trip against similar rivals 2 starts back. Last time out, they dropped him into an open quarter. We're going to show that race right now. He got close to the pace. He's in with a big look turning into the stretch, and he's going to finish third. Now the blinkers come off.
I mean, I thought he ran fine in the replay that we have up there, Dan. He doesn't have a big excuse there. He just wasn't good enough to get the job done, but I thought he ran fine in there, and he will probably have to run better than that moving back up against this field. And maybe he's just better dirt horse. I mean, that's certainly possible too. That being said, I've seen way worse 50-1 shots in my life.
Oh, no doubt. I mean, he has some figures that actually put him right in the mix, although you might be right. He might be slightly better on the dirt. The key to this race, in many folks' opinion, mine included, is the 9, Ferrariano, who's returning off about an 800-day layoff. Here's his most recent start, January 15th, 2022. It's the Unusual Heat Turf Classic. He got right up close to the pace in this race. He makes the lead inside the 3/16 pole, and he's going to run third against some good Calbreds. The runner-up coming back to finish second in a grade 3 with a 91 Beyer speed figure.
Runs well in this race. This is, of course, Lasix off, and a stakes race will have Lasix for the return from the long layoff. I think it's pretty clear based from his, his overall turf form, Dan, that if he can still run, and that's a pretty big if after this long of a layoff, but if he can still run, he'll be pretty tough in here if he's close to ready.
The 10 is Red Cross Knight. He draws in from the also eligible list. He's only raced twice on turf. He's raced well both times without winning. His most recent race, he finished third. I thought from a tough outside post, he was forced to move early in that race. He was in with a look. He tired. I think he gets a lot from that race. And I also think, compared to some of the others in here, he's got more upside potential.
That's what I liked about him. It feels like he could take a step forward at some point. If it's not here, it could be soon. And if it is here, he could be really tough in this race, Dan. Look, he drew outside again. He had the outside post last time against a couple of these same rivals. You can go back and pull that full replay. The outside post really worked against him last time. He can't afford to get that kind of a trip again, but let's just say it wasn't Maldonado's finest moment riding him from the outside post last time. He's got to do better than that in here.
He was listed as a vet scratch at Santa Anita on February the 23rd, but really fits here. And I think he's going to be aggressive out of the gate to try to get a spot either in the second flight or up close to the pace. Before we take a look at our top selections, please click the subscribe button on the Daily Racing Form YouTube channel for the latest DRF videos. Let's take a look at our top picks for Friday's race of the day at Santa Anita. You're going with Red Cross Knight. Good tactical speed, lots of upside. He's won half of his starts.
Yeah, I was happy to see him get into this race, Dan. I know the outside post could be an issue for him again, but I just feel like you just have to go forward with him this time and try to get a spot up close to the pace. I like him in here. I think this is a good spot for this horse. Mugi Sun's the horse to beat. I don't really want a short price on that horse.
Curious to see if Dick Best can take him all the way again. He's going to show speed breaking from post position too. Might have to dissuade the 1 and the 10 in the early portion of this race, but he did dig down deep against a horse that did come back to win, albeit on dirt last time. 10-4, 3-9 for Mike, 2-9, 10-4 for me. It's Friday's race of the day at the Great Race Place, the 7th at Santa Anita. Good luck.